Hi, Erica. How you doing? So, using a typographic composition is always going to work regardless of the subject matter. It's just a matter of finessing that type into somewhat into fitting into the meaning or somehow associated with the meaning. And I think you've done that pretty well with the script in I think the script and the contrast of the modern oblique sans serif is very interesting with that scripted um, with the swashes on the caps. So that's interesting because I think that's indicative of her writing, those kind of really drastic contrasts. So I think that's a really good idea. And as I said, I think, typographic composition, a typographic approach, you can never go wrong. Unless, of course, it's the project that you absolutely need images. But you can do so much with type. And I think that you're showing that here, at least in the typographic composition. Erica, let me tell you what I mean, okay? You've got these wonderful swashes, and you've built this wonderful relationship between the T and the M, okay? And then, so that's just this gorgeous focal point for the poster, right? Now, personally, I think that this typeface here, the ONI, I think it's too frail for the stroke width and the strength of the strokes and the swashes on these scripted typefaces. Look how tiny that little hairline stroke is compared to that stroke right there. So that said, now if you're comparing the thinnest stroke size, yeah, it's a good match, but you have to take a look at the stroke size in general. So right now, I'm going to say that at a distance, you're not going to see the ONI and the Morrison, the Toni Morrison, other than the TM. For that reason, I would suggest a typeface that is a little bit closer to the consistency and the variations in the stroke size here. I think this is just too regulated and it's just too thin. So think about that. Try a few other typefaces in there. I love the idea of working those variable combinations of that sans serif with that those scripted caps. So that's pretty cool. Now, another thing is that down here, I would say that I would just stick with whatever you're using for your secondary typeface. Just stick with that for your tagline, because right now you can see that, but you can almost see that right now that these kind of don't really belong together because one's so thick and one's so thin. And we can really see that they don't belong to each other. And this is interesting that you did this because this is a wonderful little test that you can do typographically to see if two typefaces will fit together. And that's take lowercase letters and put them together. In this case, we can clearly see that the X heights are going to be different. Right now, your descenders are way below your baseline. And your X height, if that descender were even with the baseline, your X height would be much higher than the rest of that type. You can also see the relationships that are kind of created between the negative spaces, and you can just kind of see that these two typefaces are really tough to make them work together. And I think that's indicative of this as well. So I would work on your type combinations. The TM is fantastic. That stays. That's gorgeous. Very nice work there. And then novelist teacher inspiration. That's good right there. The only other thing I have to say has to do with composition. As I started this video, I was saying that this is a wonderful focal point, and it is, and it's got so much potential. But listen, what's happening here is you're taking away all the attention away from this gorgeous type that you've come up with, and you're doing it by presenting it with too many visual cues. Right now, this poster, front of this poster, should basically have two visual cues: the name and the tagline. Right now, you're really diluting the impact of the name, because you're presenting it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other visual cues. It's a classic case of Hick's law where everything you add to a composition takes away from what's already there. My suggestion, my recommendations here would be get rid of everything you don't need. Get rid of that bar, that bar, that bar. You could probably even get rid of that. Work on your background color, work on the color relationships between your typography and your background. And I would say that maybe, a couple of embellishments, nothing like this though. But I'm all for minimalism on this. I think it's really you're getting the major impact of the variation and the contrast in writing style from this. these right. So you don't have to create these other visual contrasts to try to create these sub meanings. I don't think it's necessary at all. I think what it's doing is working against you by, as I said, that Hicks law is in effect here. All right. Any questions at all, let me know, but I'm really interested in seeing where you're going from here. But if you want me to look at anything else, or if you have any questions, or if I can clarify anything, please feel free, let me know. Thanks.